Hey there, thanks for tuning in for the top 7 rock cuts of the week. Great Basin Prospecting here. Here's the rocks that we will be taking a look at. We've got some really cool ones this week, and as you can see from the 4 up top, some larger rocks that I cut. Most of them I cut with the new saw. One of them I managed to cut with the smaller saw that I have. All of these rocks are from northern Nevada and were found by yours truly. Please let me know what you think down in the comments, what your favorites are. Welcome back to all the current subscribers. And if you're new to the channel, I hope you like this video. Let's go ahead and get to it. So first up, we've got a really unique rock. So this is a piece of what looks like petrified wood. We can see, especially on this side, there's a lot of fine banding that looks like wood grain, especially in the lighter sections with the tan banding. And then we have some black that's showing through as well, which, as you know from some of the other videos, is often a replacement for organic material. And on this broken side, there was an interesting vein running through that fracture. So I was really curious as to how that would translate on the inside. So let's go ahead and take a look. And that is really gorgeous. Wow. So this one's even a little bit hydrophobic now. It's hard to keep the water on there. It's pretty polished from the cutting process, and we can see the wood grain in there, as well as a really cool vein of what I think is common opal that's running through it in a few different spots, but very striking contrast against the black. Here's a look at the other side, and just gorgeous. The yellows and the reds are really bright, and then the whites are really cool, and the patterns are very unique too, and there's some fine banding when we zoom in a little bit. Really, really cool. This is definitely a new favorite. All right, next up we've got this big rock. So from the outside we can see there is a lot of cool color and pattern going on. We've got some of that nice dark red, yellows, pinks, some interesting veins that are showing through, some white, some brown on this side, as well as a little bit of yellow. But it just looks really interesting. There's a lot of colors going on. The rock looked like it was of a decent quality, but we shall see. And it definitely is. That is really, really nice. Wow, look at the patterns on this. Yeah, we'll zoom in here so we can get a closer look, because they are really, really nice. So this is a nice mix of Lahontan Jasper with a little bit of Wonderstone patterns in there as well. We can see the stone itself is also Brecciated. It's fractured and then healed in a few different spots. And the veins on this are just gorgeous, especially the red and the yellow here that we're zooming in on. And then towards the right side of the rock, it goes to a blue, which is really cool, with deep red veins and then some red and pink eyes there on the veins as well. Do another zoom in here. Just stunning. Really pretty rock. All right, next up we've got this rock. So from the outside you can see we've got some maybe iron oxide staining there, giving it a brown rust color, but most of the rock looks like it's green, and in the spots where it's not kind of rusted and weathered, we can see there's some nice green that's showing through. And the bottom of the rock, from the way that it's on the stand here, looks like it's maybe a different material, kind of a dark gray material. But let's go ahead and take a look at the inside of this one. And that is just beautiful. Wow. So it is green. It's a variety of different shades of green, in fact, and the rock's kind of broken up into a few different sections with a neat eye formation on the outside of the pieces as we're looking at them here. Let's take a closer look at the individual halves, and we can see that eye formation on the right-hand side of the rock. The mark above that is actually just a saw mark that'll polish off. And then we have some speckles going on throughout, and then towards the inside of the rock, there's some interesting kind of banding and inclusions going on. We can see the same thing going on here, and towards the bottom inside, it gets to a nice crystal-y kind of material, but Really pretty shades of green here. This might be some sort of volcanic tuff turned to jasper, but really gorgeous. All right, let's check out this rock. So we've got a lot of tan brown going on that big broad side. And on this side, we get into very interesting pattern that's showing through in both the tan as well as the purple. And I'm not exactly sure what it is. It almost looks like it's brecciated because the bands appear to all be the same material that's just very broken up. But let's go ahead and take a look. And that is really cool. Wow, look at that. The pattern absolutely carries through to the inside. And the stone is a really nice quality. It got a bit polished from the cut, it looks like. I've not seen a pattern that's quite like this. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Because the background material is basically the same color gradients as the material that it might be breaking up, I'm not really sure that it is brecciated. Maybe it's just the way the banding looks. I don't know, but it's very striking and very pretty. It already looks polished, so I know it will polish up well. All right, let's check out this rock. So from the outside, we can see that it's been through some things, it has lived a life. It is a little bit waxy, a little bit crystally. With the light hitting it, it is a bit translucent. So I believe this is going to be an agate or crystal material. Where those arrows were just pointing, there's a little bit of an eye that's on the underside there. So we'll see if that translates through to the inside. And that is really gorgeous. So this is an agate material. We have really nice banding and coloration that's going on here. A little bit of iron oxide staining, especially towards the top. We can see where that eye is or was on the outside. There's some interesting kind of white mark on the bottom of the rock where that arrow was just pointing. The banding, especially through the middle part, is really nice. And there's an arrow at where the eye from the outside is. You can kind of see through, but there's some nice whites and even lavenders and some darker colors going on red and purple towards the middle. Really pretty. This one was a little too big for my previous saw, which is why the cut is not that great, but this one will polish up really well. Okay, let's check out this rock. So this is a cool one, and I'm excited to share it. From the outside, we can see it has a speckled red kind of appearance, and there's also a bluish looking vein that we can see here on the front side of the rock. And that really caught my eye because I was hoping it would carry through to the interior and we'd get a nice view of that blue crystal vein in there. And look at that. That is so cool. So not only does the blue crystal vein continue to the inside, it's a really neat material. It's a brecciated jasper with some interesting colors, including some reds and blues towards the top, and then a much more muted color palette going on of sort of gray and tan tones throughout the rest of the rock, but they're quite uniform and even rounded, which gives it a really unique look compared to a lot of the breccia that I've found out here. Really beautiful. Here's a little look at the bottom there where the crystal was showing through, but really pretty color. Okay, let's check out this rock. So from the outside, you can see we've got some gorgeous banding going on, pink and white and red and yellow, and this looks like it's going to be a nice piece of candy Wonderstone. So let's go ahead and check out the inside. And how nice is that? Just beautiful banding and really nice colors in pink and white and the yellows and reds towards the perimeter. A really nice example of candy Wonderstone, and one of my favorite materials. This one might be a little bit too small to cab, although you probably could. You could maybe face polish it. These would also probably tumble pretty well, but just beautiful material. All right, that's it for this video. Please let me know what you thought down in the comments and give the video a like and share. And if you're new to the channel and you made it this far, please subscribe. And thank you to all the current subscribers. There's a lot more of you now, which is awesome. And I will see you next time.